All right, my watch list for tomorrow. Now this video is going to include several bounce plays, and so there's no way I can tell you exactly what's going to happen tomorrow on an intraday basis. Some of these may gap up, some of these may gap down. To be honest with you, on a bounce play, I prefer if they actually gap down. That's usually a pretty good setup. We get a gap down, a narrow range, and then a break if it's early high. When they gap up, it changes things. It takes some of the momentum out of the bounce. So I can't cover what's going to happen with each individual one. Just know that I'm going to have every one of these charts that I'm getting ready to show you on a chart on one of my 6 monitors while I trade tomorrow, hopefully getting a good setup. Okay. Now, if I had to give you the best scenario, these stocks would just trade in a narrow range for the first 4.5 hours, and then with about an hour and a half or 2 hours to go in the session, they would break to the upside, break the high of the day coming out of a tight base. That's generally a pretty darn good trade. As a matter of fact, Plug is a good example. Look how decimated Plug has been. And then look, this is a really good example, actually. And then one of our members, Leslie, pointed this out around 625 today. Leslie's idea was 625 with a 618 stop. I reposted it for the room with a chime because I agreed. But you had Plug that's really beaten up, then a nice rally this morning, but then a real tight base this afternoon, and look what happened there. Now, they don't all do that. That was a 35% move after our entry, but it's a good example of a kind of a tight base with the high of day above on a stock that's beaten up. Okay, now with all that in mind, let's go back to the list. Daily charts, MVIS. I believe this run was on some deal with Sony, and then this gap up was on a deal with UPS. Why do I like this? I mean, certainly I'm surprised that it came back down after the gap up, basically filled the gap in 2 days. That's a little distressing to me, but you have nice support right below, so now it's back down to the 20-day. This is a good candidate for a nice bounce. So if this one can trade in a narrow range and then in the afternoon break its high, I think you get people piling in it on the bounce. But I am a little concerned about the action. I didn't think it would give the entire gap up back, but anyway, it deserves to be on an intraday chart. ASTM, along those same lines, huge move here, and then a couple days down on declining volume into the 8-day. I like this one a lot for a potential bounce. OPTT is a little bit of a different kind of play. This one is just at support and a nice green day today. Let's get a line going here. So, I mean, this thing's had really nice support in this area, and you can see it put in a green candle. So it might be back up from here. You can see in some of these candles, this one can really make a nice move at times. Usually coincides with news, but worth having on a chart. MNGA, man, moved up from under $1 to 240, then a couple days down. Same scenario, just on bounce watch. Remember, it doesn't cost you anything to have these on an intraday 5-minute candle chart, while you're trading, because you might see something, okay? And you can be one of the first groups in if you are going to get a nice bounce back up. OCLS, kind of the same thing, from 4 to 6. That's what, a 50% move? And now what, after a week, back down to kind of retest the breakout area, back down to the 20-day. It's going to be on a chart tomorrow. SVA, nice volume pop here, and now a couple days lower in a green candle today. That's just on long watch with a proper setup. ISR, you see a theme going here, a lot of big moves, and now we're looking at the pullbacks. Declining volume. ISR is pretty interesting to me. Finally hit the 8-day. This one also on bounce watch. OXGN gapped up and finally put in a green day, and was getting decent volume on an intraday basis today. Look at that move there. You got to like this up over 380. That one will be on a chart. And XGTI. We traded this one today in the chat room, but it's back on watch. I mean, you got to like it over these recent highs. It probably needs to rest a bit, but keep an eye on it. This high here, let me try to get this 385 right here. Today it hit 382, so up over 390. This could just rip through 4 and maybe test 5 one of these days. I don't know if tomorrow's the right day. Again, doesn't cost you anything to have that one on a chart. That's my list starting out right now. I'll probably find some more stuff as I look at more charts tonight, but pretty good starting point there. And I'll try to do a follow-up video tomorrow night so you can see, especially if any of those bounce plays pan out and give me a proper setup and I get a good trade out of it. I'll certainly make a video tomorrow night, kind of an after-the-fact teaching tool on here's exactly what I look for on a bounce play. Hopefully that helps. All right, I'm going to quit babbling. We'll talk to you later.